The galaxy had long forgotten the name of Earth. For thousands of years, the stars whispered stories of a strange species that once lived on a small blue planet, close to a yellow sun. The archives called them humans. But those archives were written in dust, and most of the galaxy believed humans had burned themselves out, destroyed by their own wars, their planet swallowed by silence. The empires of the stars moved forward, building new civilizations, new alliances, and new wars. To them, humanity was only a ghost. Yet not all believed the story was finished. On the edge of known space, beyond the charts and trade routes, signals began to appear. At first, they were weak. Faint patterns carried on old frequencies, echoes that no one should have heard. Traders whispered that the dead planet was calling again. An old patrol ship caught the first clear message. Its crew could not understand the language, but they recognized the rhythm. It was human. Fear spread quietly. If Earth was still alive, then the galaxy had to face a nightmare it had buried. In the Grand Council of Alien Rulers, the debate began. The elder of the Core dynasty said, "It is impossible. The humans ended themselves long ago." But a nervous envoy from another empire replied, "Impossible things are exactly what humans were known for." Silence followed. Every species had stories of the humans. Some told of bravery. Some told of cruelty. But all agreed on one truth: humans never stopped fighting. They fought storms, hunger, even the death of their own kind. Where others bent, humans broke chains. Where others fled, humans built weapons. The galaxy feared them not for their numbers, but for their refusal to surrender. Far away, in the ruins of Earth, the truth was waking. The planet was not dead. It was scarred, yes, oceans poisoned, cities in ruins, skies dark with ash. But beneath the broken surface, deep inside mountain bunkers, humans had endured. They had lived in silence, hidden from the galaxy, waiting for the day the universe would forget them. They had used their silence as a weapon, turning years into centuries, building knowledge in the shadows. Now their machines stirred. Old satellites blinked alive, sending signals across the void. In the darkness, the voice of humanity returned, "We are still here." The first alien ship to approach Earth was not a warship but a scout. Its captain was young and proud, eager to prove himself. When his ship entered the solar system, he laughed. He saw no cities, no fleets, no armies, only a broken world. "Empty," he reported to his leaders. "A dead world that speaks with ghosts." He did not notice the eyes watching him. He did not hear the silence breathing. His ship vanished 3 days later. The galaxy never found out how. Rumors spread faster than truth. Some claimed humans had destroyed the scout ship with old nuclear weapons. Others whispered of strange new technology. Some believed it was a warning, "Do not come closer." Empires began to argue. Some wanted to send fleets to crush Earth once and for all. Others begged for caution, reminding the council of old wars. One commander stood up and said, "Do you not remember the lesson of the past? Every time we thought humans were weak, they showed us strength. Every time we believed they were broken, they rose again." In the shadows of space, hidden ships began to wake. Human fleets, long asleep, powered their engines. The ships were old, but their design was strange. Armor was patched with unknown alloys. Weapons glowed with silent energy. These were not the fleets of the past. These were weapons of survivors, sharpened by pain, perfected by centuries of waiting. The galaxy did not know it yet, but the silence of Earth had been a preparation. One night, in a quiet sector near Earth, a lone cargo freighter passed through. Its crew were smugglers, carrying stolen goods. They laughed as they flew past the ruins of old satellites. But then, their laughter stopped. Ahead of them, in the cold dark, a shadow moved. A human ship, larger than anything they had seen, glided across the void. Its hull carried the scars of old battles, but its engines burned with a light they could not name. The smugglers watched in frozen terror. The human ship did not attack. It only sent a signal, "Leave." The smugglers obeyed. When they returned to their world, they told the story. Soon the whole galaxy was listening. The legends of Earth began to return. Some said humans had learned to command gravity. Some said they had machines that could bend light, making fleets invisible. Others believed they had turned themselves into something more than flesh and bone. The galaxy had many stories, but no answers. And that was the greatest fear, because the unknown was always more dangerous than the known. In a hidden chamber deep inside the ruins of New York, a council of human survivors gathered. They had lived underground for centuries, but now the time for hiding was ending. Their leader, an old woman with silver hair and eyes like steel, spoke to her people. The galaxy thinks we are gone. They think Earth is broken. Let them believe it. But remember this, when they come for us, we do not run. We fight. Her words echoed in the dark, and every survivor knew, the silence was over. The stars above Earth glowed faintly, unaware of the storm that was coming. Across the galaxy, empires argued, traders whispered, and warriors prepared. But none of them truly understood. They thought Earth was only a planet. They thought humans were only a species. They had no idea that in the ashes of a ruined world, something far more dangerous had been born. Not just survivors. Not just fighters. A people who had learned patience, who had turned pain into fire, silence into steel. And so the universe asked the question it had long forgotten. What happens when the dead rise again? The answer was waiting in the darkness, hidden in the heartbeat of Earth. The universe never expected humans to fight back. But they would. And when they did, the stars themselves would tremble. The galaxy laughed when the first rumors spread. Alien leaders mocked the idea of humans returning. They said it was only noise, old machines breaking apart in silence. But deep inside their hearts, the fear was real. For they remembered history. They remembered what humans had done when pushed against a wall. Still, they told themselves the same lie. Humans are gone, and even if a few survived, they are weak. That lie did not last long. In the hidden bunkers beneath Earth, engines that had not roared for centuries began to wake. Ships long buried under mountains rose like sleeping beasts stretching after a deep rest. Their hulls were patched with metal unknown to the galaxy, a mix of old Earth alloys and new secrets forged in silence. Humans had not wasted their centuries. They had studied. They had built. They had transformed pain into invention. The fleets were small compared to the vast armadas of alien empires, but each ship carried the will of a people who refused to die. The first spark came quietly. A single human vessel, sleek and dark, left Earth's orbit. Its mission was simple: test the strength of the enemy, test the silence of the stars. It drifted into the path of a patrol cruiser from the Valor Dominion, one of the galaxy's most arrogant powers. The Valor commander saw the small craft and laughed. To him, it was no threat, only a relic, a piece of junk from a forgotten age. He ordered his crew to destroy it with a single shot. But before they could fire, the human ship moved. It did not move like other ships. It bent light around its hull, slipping through sensors. It glided faster than its size should have allowed. When the Valor fired their plasma cannons, the beams scattered as if striking invisible shields. Then the human ship fired once. Just once. A silent flash erupted from its cannon, a beam of compressed gravity that tore the Valor cruiser in half. The galaxy's proud warship split like paper, burning silently in the void. The battle was over in less than a minute. News spread like fire. At first, no one believed it. A single human ship had destroyed a cruiser built with the latest galactic technology. The Valor Dominion tried to silence the story, but traders had already seen the wreckage. Pilots carried the tale across star systems. Every telling grew sharper, darker, more terrifying. "They are back," the whispers said. "And they are not the same." Inside the human fleet, silence followed the victory. They did not celebrate. They did not cheer. They only prepared for the next move. Their commander, a man with a scar across his face, spoke to his officers. "The galaxy is watching now. They think this was luck. Let them believe it. But we know the truth. This was only the beginning. His words carried the weight of centuries. The humans had not revealed their full strength, not yet. They wanted the galaxy to wonder, to fear, to guess how much more was hidden in the shadows. The Valor Dominion reacted with rage. They sent 10 cruisers to patrol the solar system. 10 ships against one world they believed was broken. Yet when they arrived, they found nothing. The humans had vanished into the void. The cruisers searched for days, scanning the ruins of Earth, probing the dark corners of space. But the humans had become ghosts. They struck once more, fast and precise. Out of nowhere, 3 human ships appeared, destroyed 2 cruisers in seconds, and disappeared again before the others could respond. The message was clear: Earth was no longer silent, and the galaxy's armadas were not untouchable. In the Grand Council of the Galaxy, fear turned into arguments. Some species demanded immediate war, saying the humans must be erased before they grew stronger. Others trembled and said it was already too late. Old memories were spoken aloud again. A scholar from the archives stood and told the council of the last great war with humanity, when the galaxy had underestimated them before. They are not the largest, he said. They are not the strongest. But they are the only ones who fight as if defeat is worse than death. That is why we fear them. Meanwhile, across Earth, families who had lived underground for generations finally stepped into the light. Children who had never seen the sky looked up at the stars and knew they belonged to them. The survivors were no longer prisoners of their ruined world. Their fleets carried them beyond the atmosphere, into the darkness of space. And when they looked out, they did not see enemies only. They saw opportunities. Humanity had been cornered once, but now they would not just defend Earth, they would claim their place among the stars again. In a hidden station orbiting Jupiter, engineers worked day and night. They built weapons never imagined by the galaxy. Cannons that bent gravity, missiles that split through shields, drones guided by artificial minds sharper than any alien general. The survivors had learned patience, but patience had also taught them creativity. Every wound Earth had suffered became a lesson. Every scar became a weapon. The galaxy thought humans had disappeared, but in reality, they had been evolving. The spark spread further. In distant systems, alien captains began to report shadows moving near their fleets. Supply ships vanished without a trace. Patrols returned shattered or not at all. The galaxy's great powers began to turn their eyes back to Earth, the world they had dismissed. A dark truth grew in their hearts: if one ship could destroy a cruiser, if 3 ships could break 10, then what was waiting beneath the ashes of Earth? On Earth itself, the people gathered in a great underground hall. Their leader stood before them, her voice steady and strong. We were forgotten. We were left for dead. But we endured. Now the galaxy has heard our voice again. They will come for us, and we will not hide. The silence is broken. The first spark is lit. And when the fire spreads, no empire will be safe. Her words ignited the hearts of every human. The children who once lived in darkness now dreamed of stars. The soldiers who once fought to survive now prepared to fight for freedom. Far beyond, in the halls of alien rulers, the laughter had ended. Fear replaced it. Some tried to deny it. Some tried to rally their fleets. But one truth whispered through the galaxy like a storm: humanity was back, and the first spark had already become a flame. The universe never expected humans to fight back. Now it realized the mistake too late. The galaxy was no longer laughing. The destruction of a Valor cruiser by a single human ship shook every empire, every ruler, every council across the stars. For centuries they had lived with the comfort that Earth was silent, its people gone, its history finished. Now, that comfort was shattered. Whispers spread from trading stations to war councils, from shadow markets to royal courts. Whispers of a people who had returned from extinction. Whispers of humans who carried weapons no one could explain. Fear spread like smoke through the galaxy, and no one knew where the fire would burn next. On the great capital world of the Council Union, delegates filled the vast chamber with noise. Voices clashed in anger, fear, and disbelief. "This is exaggeration," shouted one. "A single cruiser lost in deep space, nothing more." But another delegate answered, his voice trembling. "Do you not hear the stories? 3 more ships destroyed near the solar system. Do you not see the wreckage? Do you not feel the silence between reports? It is them. It must be them." The chamber fell into uneasy quiet. Even those who denied the truth could not kill the feeling rising in their hearts. Among ordinary citizens of the galaxy, the fear spread faster than among rulers. Traders told stories of ships that moved like shadows, invisible to sensors. Smugglers claimed to have seen weapons that bent the stars themselves. Entire colonies whispered of fleets waiting in the dark, preparing for war. Parents warned their children with old tales. Never anger the humans, for they never stop. Old songs returned, songs of battles long forgotten, when human fleets had stood against impossible odds and refused to fall. The galaxy remembered, and in remembering, it trembled. On Earth, the survivors knew this was only the beginning. They had revealed themselves just enough to remind the galaxy they existed. The human leaders met in secret councils beneath ruined cities and aboard hidden stations orbiting dead moons. Their decision was clear: they would not run, they would not beg for peace, and they would not wait for the galaxy to strike first. The silence had been their shield, but now their fire would be their sword. Still, they moved with caution. For though they had powerful ships, their numbers were small compared to the endless fleets of alien empires. They had to make every strike count, every battle a lesson. In the Valor Dominion, fear turned into fury. Their pride could not allow the humiliation to stand. They announced to the galaxy that they would crush the human threat in a single blow. Admirals promised swift victory, and fleets began to gather. But among the lower soldiers, fear gnawed at discipline. Stories of the destroyed cruiser spread among them. Some said the humans had learned to weaponize black holes. Others swore they had seen entire squadrons vanish, swallowed by invisible ships. Many soldiers whispered that they would not face the humans, no matter the orders. The galaxy's other powers watched with unease. Some hoped the Valor would succeed, that they would destroy humanity once and for all and remove the danger. But others remembered the past. The humans had faced empires before. They had lost battles, lost worlds, but never surrendered. They had always found a way to rise again. And if they had survived centuries of silence, if they had prepared in the shadows, then perhaps this time they were stronger than ever. The fear was not only of human weapons, it was of human will. On a remote mining colony, a freighter captain told his crew a story he had heard from a dying trader. The trader claimed his convoy had been saved by a human ship. Pirates had attacked, and before they could kill everyone, a single human vessel appeared. It destroyed the pirates in moments, then vanished without a word. "Why would they save him?" a miner asked. The captain shook his head. "That is what frightens me most. If they are not just fighting for themselves, if they are protecting others, then perhaps the galaxy is not facing an enemy. Perhaps it is facing something greater." The miners fell silent, for no one dared to imagine what greater might mean. In the ruins of New York, beneath the shattered towers, a young soldier asked his commander why the humans did not strike harder, why they did not reveal their full strength at once. The commander answered with a grim smile. "Because fear is stronger than any weapon. Let them wonder. Let them imagine what we can do. Their imagination will break them before our weapons ever need to." The soldier nodded, understanding at last. Humanity was not rushing into battle. They were letting the galaxy destroy itself with fear. And so the fear spread. It spread into war councils, breaking trust between allies. It spread into fleets, making soldiers question their orders. It spread into the hearts of rulers, who began to wonder if they would be the next target. The galaxy had always thought of itself as powerful, unshakable, eternal. But now, with each whisper of humanity's return, cracks appeared in that certainty. The empires realized a terrible truth: the greatest threat was not that humans had survived. The greatest threat was that humans had been waiting. Far away, on a hidden human station orbiting Saturn, the leaders gathered once more. Their leader, the old woman with steel eyes, looked out at the stars and spoke. They fear us already, and fear is a fire that spreads faster than fleets. But do not forget, they will come for us. They cannot help themselves. Pride will drag them here. And when they come, we will remind the universe why it should have left us in silence. Her words burned like iron in the hearts of every human present. They knew the war was coming. They knew the galaxy would unite to crush them. But they also knew this: they had endured the impossible before, and they would do it again. The fear was spreading. The spark had become flame. And somewhere in the shadows of space, humanity prepared to show the galaxy the meaning of survival. The galaxy thought it had seen everything, but humanity had not yet shown its true hand. The first battles, the first sparks, were only warnings. The real terror lay in what the humans had created during their centuries of silence. Deep beneath the broken surface of Earth, hidden in old tunnels, abandoned factories, and underground vaults, they had built weapons unlike anything the galaxy had ever imagined. They called them the Silent Forges, places where engineers and scientists worked in secrecy, far away from alien eyes. The galaxy believed humans had been extinct, but in truth, they had been preparing for a war they knew would one day come. The weapons were not born from luxury or abundance. They were born from desperation. Humanity had learned to create with scraps, to shape power from ruin. One of their most feared inventions was the gravity lance, a cannon that folded the fabric of space into a blade sharp enough to cut through any shield. Another was the phantom drive, an engine that bent light and sound, making ships invisible to sensors. But perhaps the most unsettling weapon was not a machine, it was the human mind itself. Generations raised in silence had been taught patience, strategy, and unity. Every survivor was a soldier, every child a student of war. The first reveal of the hidden weapons came during a Valor assault. A fleet of 20 ships descended on the edge of the solar system, expecting to wipe out the humans easily. They did not know what waited for them near Neptune. Out of the darkness, 3 human ships appeared, smaller and older than the Valor cruisers. The Valor commander laughed and ordered an attack. Plasma beams and missiles filled the void. But the human ships did not fall. Their phantom drives bent the fire away, scattering beams into nothing. Then the humans fired their gravity lances. With silent flashes, the beams sliced through cruiser after cruiser. In minutes, 10 warships were gone, split in half as if they were paper toys. The remaining Valor ships fled, chased by silence more terrifying than any roar. When news of the battle reached the galaxy, the fear deepened. The Valor Dominion tried to explain the loss, calling it ambush and luck. But the wreckage told a different story. Whole ships torn apart with surgical precision, fleets shattered by weapons the galaxy had never seen. The whispers spread again: humans had built machines beyond imagination. Some said they had stolen technology from ancient civilizations. Others believed they had discovered secrets of the universe itself. But the truth was far simpler. They had built these weapons from nothing, forged by the will to survive. On Earth, the leaders gathered once more. Their commander, the old woman with steel eyes, stood before the council. We cannot match the galaxy in numbers. We cannot match them in resources. But we can break them with fear, and fear is the sharpest weapon we have. Around her, engineers spoke of new projects, swarms of drones guided by artificial minds, orbital cannons hidden in the asteroid belt, and ships designed to disappear in the blink of an eye. Humanity's arsenal grew, not for conquest, but for survival. In the galaxy's great halls, arguments turned to panic. Some rulers demanded full-scale war before humans became unstoppable. Others argued for negotiation, though no one knew how to speak to a people who had lived in silence for centuries. A nervous diplomat whispered what many were beginning to realize: perhaps we waited too long. Perhaps it is already too late. But still, pride blinded the great empires. They believed humans could be crushed with enough force, enough fleets, enough fire. They did not understand that every attack only made humanity stronger. Meanwhile, ordinary aliens across the galaxy began to question their leaders. On trading stations, citizens asked why empires feared a species they once declared extinct. On border worlds, soldiers wondered if their commanders were sending them to die against an enemy no one could predict. And in secret, some species began to hope that the humans might not be enemies but saviors. For if they could stand against the empires, perhaps they could also bring freedom to those long oppressed. The hidden weapons were not just machines of destruction. They were symbols. Symbols that humanity had not been broken. Symbols that silence had been strength. And every time a human ship appeared, fought, and vanished, the galaxy's fear grew heavier. The humans never stayed long enough for full battles. They struck, destroyed, and disappeared, leaving only wreckage and questions. This was no ordinary war. This was a ghost war, and the ghosts were winning. Back on Earth, children trained in simulators that taught them how to command ships and wield weapons. Farmers learned to operate drones that could mine or fight. Engineers built in secret forges while warriors drilled in underground caverns. Humanity had no luxury of dividing roles. Every hand had to serve, every mind had to fight. The old woman looked at her people and said, "We do not fight because we want to rule. We fight because we want to live. And that will always make us stronger than them." The galaxy still had no idea how deep the human arsenal went. They had seen only glimpses, only sparks of what was hidden. But the survivors knew. They knew that one day, when the galaxy came in full force, the hidden weapons would no longer remain hidden. They would rise like fire from the ashes of Earth. And when that day came, the galaxy would learn the final truth, that silence was not weakness, it was preparation. And so the fear continued to spread, fed now not only by rumors of human survival but by proof of human power. The empires counted their fleets, built new weapons, and prepared for war. But deep down, they all felt the same shadow pressing on their hearts. They had thought humanity was gone. They had thought Earth was dead. Now they knew better. The humans had returned, armed with weapons no one could predict, and a will no one could break. The universe had no idea what was coming, but it knew one thing with certainty: the hidden weapons of Earth would soon change everything. The galaxy could no longer ignore what was happening. What began as whispers had become undeniable. Fleets were destroyed. Cruisers split apart. Supply lines disrupted. Humanity was no longer a rumor or a ghost, they were a rising storm. The empires had watched with disbelief as their proud ships fell to weapons they could not understand, but now disbelief was replaced with rage. The Valor Dominion called for total war. Their leaders promised to crush Earth with overwhelming numbers, to show the galaxy that humanity's return would end as quickly as it began. And so, for the first time in centuries, the galaxy gathered its fleets not against one another, but against a common enemy. Humanity had forced them into unity. The first war of survival was about to begin again. The armada that assembled at the edge of human space was unlike anything seen in generations. Hundreds of cruisers, battleships, and carriers floated in silence, their weapons glowing like suns. Soldiers filled the decks, nervous but determined, their commanders promising easy victory. "The humans are clever," one admiral said, "but they are few. We are many. This war will be finished in a single strike." But beneath the bravado, fear gnawed at them. Every soldier had heard the stories of invisible ships, of gravity lances cutting through steel, of fleets vanishing without a trace. They told themselves numbers would save them. Yet in their hearts, they knew numbers had never broken humanity before. On Earth, the survivors knew what was coming. From the ashes of their ruined cities to the hidden stations orbiting moons, they prepared. Every family readied for war. Every ship that could fly was armed. The leaders stood before their people and spoke the truth. The galaxy will come for us. They will come with everything they have. But remember this, we do not fight for conquest. We fight for survival. And survival is a fire that no armada can extinguish. Their words burned into the hearts of the young and the old alike. For the first time in centuries, humanity would fight not in secret, but openly, against the galaxy itself. The first battle began near Mars. The Galactic Armada advanced with confidence, their cruisers stretching in lines longer than cities. At their head, a flagship carried the Valor Admiral, who broadcast his voice across the stars. "This is the end of Earth. Surrender now, and your deaths will be swift." Humanity answered with silence. Then the silence broke. Out of the shadows of the asteroid belt, human ships emerged, their phantom drives deactivating one by one. Dozens of ships, small compared to the vast armada, but armed with weapons the galaxy still did not understand. The battle began with a single flash. A gravity lance cut through the first battleship like glass. Chaos followed. The alien armada responded with overwhelming fire. Plasma storms and missile waves lit the void, drowning the asteroid belt in fire. Yet the human ships danced through the destruction, bending light, slipping past sensors, striking with precision. Whole cruisers were sliced apart before their weapons could even lock on. The galaxy's numbers were vast, but for every human ship destroyed, 10 alien ships fell. What terrified the commanders most was not just the destruction, but the way humans fought. They did not retreat. They did not break. They pressed forward even when outnumbered 100 to 1, their ships burning but still attacking. It was as if death itself could not stop them. Hours passed, and the battlefield became a graveyard of wreckage. The Galactic Armada should have crushed the humans easily, but instead, it was the aliens who were breaking. Some soldiers refused to fire. Some abandoned their ships in terror. One commander whispered the words that spread like poison through the ranks. "They are not fighting to win. They are fighting to survive. And nothing can defeat that." Fear spread faster than the weapons. The armada that had come with confidence now trembled with doubt. But humanity knew the truth. They could not fight forever. Their fleets were strong, but their numbers were still too few. For every alien ship destroyed, more would come. The galaxy was endless. Humanity was not. And so, in the middle of battle, a hidden plan was revealed. From the moons of Jupiter, from the craters of Mars, from stations buried in the asteroid belt, hidden human bases awoke. Vast cannons rose from silence, their barrels glowing with stolen energy from the planets themselves. In one coordinated strike, they fired into the armada. Gravity tore ships apart. Beams cut through fleets. Missiles streaked like falling stars. The battlefield erupted into fire. The galaxy's fleets, once proud, were thrown into chaos as bases they had never detected poured destruction upon them. For the first time, the galaxy realized humanity's silence had not been hiding weakness. It had been hiding preparation. Earth had not been waiting helplessly. Earth had been turning itself into a fortress. Every rock, every moon, every planet had become part of the war. The aliens thought they were fighting a scattered fleet. In truth, they were fighting a world that had rebuilt itself into a weapon. The battle did not end in total victory. Many human ships were lost, and their hidden bases were revealed. But the Galactic Armada did not claim triumph. Instead, they limped away, broken and humiliated. The war they thought would end in a single strike had only just begun. The galaxy now knew the truth. Humanity was not only alive, they were ready. And worse, every empire understood what that meant. If the First War had returned, then the galaxy was facing not a people who wanted to conquer, but a people who had nothing left to lose. And that made them more dangerous than ever. In the silence after the battle, among the wreckage of Mars, a single human message was broadcast across the stars. A simple voice, clear and steady, speaking to every empire that had doubted them. "We survived. We endured. We will not fall. If you want our end, come and take it. But remember, when humanity fights, we fight until the last star burns out." The message ended, and across the galaxy, rulers and soldiers shivered. The First War had returned, and this time, no one knew how it would end. The war had begun in fire, but Part 6 was the moment when the galaxy realized that fire alone could not break humanity. After the Battle of Mars, the galaxy's fleets were forced into retreat, but retreat was not defeat. The empires gathered again, stronger, more united, their rulers vowing that the next assault would burn Earth until nothing remained. Yet something had changed. The galaxy no longer saw humanity as a myth or a weak survivor. They saw them as an equal, dangerous, unpredictable, and relentless. The fear that spread through soldiers and citizens alike was no longer just of human weapons, but of human will. No empire, no fleet, no ruler had ever faced an enemy that fought with the desperation of extinction. On Earth, the people understood that their first battle was only a beginning. They had survived, but survival was not victory. The war would not end with one triumph. It would drag on, consuming lives, demanding sacrifices beyond measure. And yet, hope burned brighter than fear. Children were taught not just to live, but to fight. Factories hidden under mountains forged weapons day and night. Farmers became engineers. Teachers became strategists. The world itself was changing into one great war machine. Humanity had no choice but to transform. If the galaxy wanted war, then Earth would meet them with everything it had. The galaxy's second great strike came faster than expected. Near Saturn's rings, fleets of 3 different empires, the Valor, the Drosari, and the Zenth, appeared in formation, determined to end the threat together. Hundreds of warships glowed against the black void, their combined power enough to erase planets. But waiting for them was not a fleet of human ships, it was silence. Saturn's rings drifted as they always had, glowing faintly in reflected light. The aliens searched, scanning every rock, every shadow, but found nothing. Some commanders laughed, believing the humans had retreated. Others hesitated, sensing the trap. Then the trap was sprung. From within the rings themselves, human ships emerged, cloaked until the last second by phantom drives. The battle erupted instantly. Gravity lances tore through the first wave of alien cruisers, scattering wreckage into the icy debris. Missiles streaked from hidden launchers buried in the rings, guided by humans who had turned even frozen dust into weapons. The aliens tried to regroup, firing plasma storms into the void, but the rings themselves betrayed them. The debris reflected their fire, scattering beams into wild patterns, confusing sensors. It was not just ships they fought, it was the battlefield itself, reshaped by human strategy. 4 hours, the battle raged. The galaxy's armada suffered heavy losses, but humanity bled too. Ships burned, stations fell, and thousands gave their lives to hold the line. Yet through the fire, one truth became clear. The galaxy's unity was beginning to fracture. The Valor wanted to press the assault, demanding their allies sacrifice more ships. The Drosari grew fearful, questioning why they should spill endless blood against an enemy that refused to die. The Zenth, calculating and cold, began pulling their fleets back, unwilling to waste resources. The alliance that had sworn to destroy Earth in one strike was already breaking apart under the weight of human defiance. But the turning point did not come in space. It came on Earth itself. In the ashes of an old city, buried beneath ruins left from the first silence, explorers uncovered something forgotten even by humanity, a vault of records from before the Great Fall. Inside were maps, technologies, and warnings. Among them, one discovery stood out. A prototype weapon designed but never completed, a weapon that did not just destroy ships, but destabilized entire systems of energy. If it could be finished, it would change the war forever. The silent forges worked day and night, rebuilding the ancient design with modern desperation. The galaxy thought humanity's weapons had already been revealed. They did not know another shadow was waiting. As the weapon neared completion, rumors spread across alien worlds. Traders whispered of human scientists who had uncovered something older than the empires themselves. Commanders spoke of battles lost not by strength, but by fear. Whole planets began to question their rulers, asking why so many fleets were vanishing against an enemy once thought extinct. The turning point was not just in technology or battles, it was in perception. The galaxy had believed humanity was a nuisance to be crushed. Now they feared humanity might become a power to rival them all. The next confrontation sealed this truth. At the edge of Neptune, a coalition fleet of nearly 500 ships appeared, determined to prove unity still held. Humanity answered with less than 100. The odds were hopeless. But as the battle began, the prototype weapon was unveiled. From a single human ship, a wave of energy rippled out, invisible but unstoppable. Shields collapsed. Engines died. Whole squadrons went dark, drifting powerless in space. Panic spread. Commanders screamed orders. Some ships fled before a single shot was fired at them. Humanity struck with precision, destroying only what was necessary, but the message was clear: the galaxy's greatest fleets were no longer invincible. The battle ended not with annihilation, but with retreat. Hundreds of alien ships survived, but they returned to their empires broken, humiliated, and divided. The coalition had failed again, and this time, doubt had spread too deeply to repair. Humanity had not only survived the impossible odds, they had shattered the illusion of galactic dominance. In the silence after Neptune, the galaxy held its breath. Some rulers still promised victory, but their people no longer believed them. Some commanders still demanded war, but their soldiers hesitated to obey. Across the stars, the unthinkable began to spread, voices calling not for conquest, but for peace. The galaxy had discovered the turning point: humanity could not be erased. And now, the question was no longer how to destroy them, but how to live with them. And yet, in the hidden halls of Earth, the leaders spoke in whispers. The war was far from over. The empires might fracture, but desperation could bind them again. And if they ever united fully, humanity would face extinction once more. The prototype weapon was powerful, but it was only one step. The silent forges still worked, still built, still dreamed of weapons that could end the war forever. For though the turning point had come, the final reckoning was still ahead. Humanity had forced the galaxy to fear them. But soon, they would force the galaxy to choose. The galaxy was silent after Neptune. The empires that once roared with pride now whispered in doubt, their rulers speaking loudly in their courts but secretly questioning their own strength. Armadas had been shattered, alliances broken, and faith in victory lost. Yet the war was not over. In the deepest chambers of alien councils, desperate plans were drawn. If fleets could not bring humanity down, then a final strike must be delivered, a strike not at ships or soldiers, but at Earth itself. The galaxy's rulers believed that if the cradle of humanity was destroyed, the spirit of resistance would collapse with it. And so, fleets gathered again, hidden from view, while agents moved through the stars with orders to find Earth's weaknesses. But what they did not know was that Earth had already prepared for such a day. Humanity had learned long ago that the final blow would not come in open battle, but in betrayal, in shadows, in the kind of strike designed to end not armies, but hope. On Earth, leaders gathered in the war hall, their faces hardened by years of struggle. They spoke of the danger that approached, of spies in the colonies, of whispers that the empires had a weapon capable of splitting planets in half. The people listened, not with fear, but with fire in their hearts. For they knew now what the galaxy did not yet understand: humanity's true strength was not in its weapons, nor its ships, nor its hidden forges. It was in the unity of its people, the unbreakable bond that came from centuries of silence and struggle. When one city fell, another rose to defend it. When one family wept, 1,000 more stood behind them. The galaxy could strike at Earth, but it could never strike at what Earth had become. The final shock came suddenly. A coalition fleet, larger than any seen before, appeared at the edge of Earth's system. Hundreds upon hundreds of warships, their weapons glowing like stars, moved in perfect formation. At their center was a weapon unlike any other. A massive construct built from stolen science, a superweapon designed to crack the very crust of Earth in a single blast. The galaxy had chosen annihilation. The empires broadcast their threat to every channel, their voices cold and merciless. Surrender, and Earth will be spared. Resist, and your world will be ash. But humanity did not surrender. They did not even respond. Instead, silence stretched across the system, the silence of a people who had made their choice long before the threat was spoken. As the fleets advanced, the trap was revealed. From hidden bases across the system, human ships emerged, not in dozens, not in hundreds, but in thousands. The galaxy had believed humanity few in number, but the truth was far greater. For centuries, humans had hidden fleets beneath the ice of moons, within asteroids, even buried under oceans. Every silence, every whisper, every century of absence had been preparation. Now the stars lit up with their return. The alien fleets staggered, their commanders shouting in disbelief, as phantom drives flickered to life across the void. Humanity had not been outnumbered. They had been waiting for this very moment. The battle that followed was unlike any the galaxy had ever seen. Human ships swarmed with precision, striking from angles the aliens could not anticipate. Gravity lances ripped apart capital ships, while prototype energy waves disabled entire squadrons at once. The great superweapon at the heart of the fleet tried to fire, but humanity's sacrifice was ready. A dozen ships broke formation, rushing forward with everything they had. They rammed the weapon, detonating their cores, shattering the construct in a blaze brighter than the sun. The blast echoed across the system, a final cry of defiance and triumph. But the true shock came not from destruction, but from what followed. As alien fleets faltered, expecting annihilation, humanity did not strike to finish them. Instead, they broadcast across the stars. A voice, calm and unbroken, spoke for all of Earth. We do not fight for conquest. We do not fight for empires. We fight for freedom, for ours and for yours. If you lay down your weapons, you will not be destroyed. Stand with us, and you will never be slaves again. The message spread like wildfire. Soldiers who had been forced to fight for their rulers dropped their weapons. Whole squadrons defected mid-battle. Some ships turned against their own empires, unwilling to continue a war that had already been lost in spirit. The galaxy changed that day. The empires that once ruled through fear saw their power crumble, not by fire alone, but by the will of those who refused to obey. Humanity had not just fought back, they had transformed the very fabric of the stars. The war that began in whispers ended in a roar that shook the universe. From the ruins of broken fleets, alliances were born. From the ashes of destruction, hope was rebuilt. Humanity stood, scarred but unbroken, their place among the stars no longer denied. And in the quiet after the storm, the truth became clear to all. The universe had never expected humans to fight back. But when they did, the universe itself was forced to change forever.